I walked to my front door at 2:47 p.m., 3 hours early, and knew immediately that my marriage was already over. The silence hit me like a physical force. No cartoons blaring from the living room television. No tiny feet running to greet me. No smell of my wife's famous chocolate chip cookies that she always baked for special occasions. Today was supposed to be special. Today was my daughter's 7th birthday. I stood in the foyer of our suburban Boston home, still holding the wrapped present I'd hidden in my briefcase for weeks. A karaoke machine. My little Olivia had been begging for one since she watched some Disney Channel movie where the kids had a sleepover and sang terribly into sparkly microphones. I'd saved up for my side projects, bought it in cash, and hidden it in my office closet, like a spy protecting state secrets. Honey, I'm home early. My voice echoed off the walls, bouncing back at me like a judgment. Nothing. I pulled out my phone. No messages. No missed calls. My wife, Vanessa, knew I was supposed to work until 6. I'd told her repeatedly that I'd be late, that I was covering for a colleague, that she should go ahead with the party plans, and I'd meet them wherever they were. All lies. I'd planned the surprise for weeks. My boss had happily approved my early departure when I explained the situation. My colleague didn't need coverage. I had fabricated an entire work emergency just to sell the deception. And for what? To walk into an empty house on my daughter's birthday? I checked the kitchen. Spotless. The dining room. Pristine. The backyard. Vacant. No decorations. No balloons. No half-eaten cake with greasy fingerprints on the frosting. No discarded wrapping paper with toddler-strewn chaos. Just nothing. A cold knot formed in my stomach. The kind you get when you're watching a horror movie and you know the killer is already in the house, but the main character hasn't figured out yet. I called Vanessa, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Hey, where are you? I'm home early." Surprise. Where's Olivia? Nothing. I waited 5 minutes. 10. Checked our location sharing app. Something we'd installed after Vanessa got rear-ended 2 years ago and couldn't tell the dispatcher where she was. We'd kept it for emergencies. This felt like an emergency, though I couldn't explain why. Her location pinged at a restaurant in Cambridge. Not just any restaurant, a high-end place with white tablecloths and prices that made me wince. The kind of place you went for anniversaries or promotions, not for a 7-year-old's birthday party. Unless you weren't really there for the 7-year-old. I drove across town with my knuckles white on the steering wheel, telling myself I was being paranoid. Vanessa loved me. We'd been together since college. We had a daughter, a mortgage, a life. She couldn't be doing what my gut was screaming she was doing. The restaurant was warm and bustling when I walked in, all exposed brick and soft lighting, and couples leaning toward each other over candlelit tables. The hostess smiled at me, asked if I needed a table. "I'm looking for my family," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Wife and daughter. Birthday." Her smile flickered with something I couldn't read. "Oh, you must mean the party in the back." "Follow me." The party in the back. I followed her through the maze of tables, past businessmen closing deals over martinis, and women laughing too loudly at mediocre jokes. And then I saw them. Vanessa sat at a corner booth, her head tilted back in genuine laughter, her hand resting on the table within easy reach of the man beside her. Olivia sat across from them, digging into a plate of mac and cheese with the single-minded focus of a child who didn't care about adult drama. Balloons clustered in the corner behind her. A half-eaten birthday cake sat in the center of the table, decorated with rainbow sprinkles and 7 crooked candles. Presents were stacked beside it, wrapped in colorful paper, already torn open at the corners. The man beside Vanessa, Derek, her work husband, The guy she'd been mentioning with increasing frequency over the past year leaned in to say something in her ear. She giggled, actually giggled, like a teenager at the mall. His hand brushed her shoulder, lingered a moment too long. Something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked, like ice on a frozen lake. Hairline fractures spreading in every direction. I walked toward the table, and I must have made some sound, because Olivia looked up first. Her face transformed when she saw me, lighting up with that pure, unfiltered joy that only children are capable of. "Daddy!" She scrambled out of the booth and launched herself at me, nearly knocking me backward. I caught her, lifted her, held her close, breathing in the smell of her shampoo and the faint hint of chocolate on her breath. This was my girl, my whole world wrapped up in 40 pounds of freckles and pigtails. "Daddy, look. Uncle Derek got me the giant unicorn I wanted. And Mommy let me have cake for lunch. Can you believe it? Cake for lunch. Uncle Derek." I set Olivia down gently, keeping one hand on her shoulder, and turned to face the table. Vanessa's expression had shifted from surprise to something else, a flicker of guilt quickly masked by defiance. Derek leaned back in his seat, arms spread along the back of the booth, looking for all the world like a man with nowhere to be and nothing to answer for. "David," Vanessa said, recovering quickly, "I didn't expect you until 6. You said 6. "Surprise," I said flatly. She waved her hand dismissively, the gesture so casual it made my teeth clench. "Well, we decided to do a little early lunch since Derek had the afternoon off. We're still having the family party tonight, like we planned. This was just a little lunch," I finished for her, "with balloons and presents and cake." Derek chuckled, shaking his head like I was being adorable. "Come on, man, don't make this weird. The kid wanted to celebrate. Vanessa mentioned you were working late, so I offered to help out. No big deal. No big deal." The man who'd been slowly inserting himself into my family for the past year, who texted my wife at all hours, who took her to work lunches that somehow never included the rest of the office, who apparently now had a nickname with my daughter, Uncle Derek, was sitting there telling me this was no big deal. I looked at Vanessa. "You didn't think to invite me? To tell me?" She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes. "David, you were working. I was being considerate of your job. Don't make this into something it's not. Considerate." I repeated the word like it was poison. "You were being considerate by celebrating our daughter's birthday without me and not even sending a text." Olivia tugged at my hand, oblivious to the tension. "Daddy, look at my presents. Uncle Derek got me the unicorn and a coloring set and—" "That's great, baby." I kept my eyes on Vanessa. "We're leaving." "What?" She sat up straighter, her casual demeanor slipping. "David, don't be ridiculous. We're leaving." I bent down and scooped up Olivia, who giggled, thinking this was some new game. "Say bye-bye to Mommy. We're going home." "Daddy, my presents. We'll get them later." I turned toward the exit, my daughter in my arms, my heart pounding so hard I could hear her in my ears. Vanessa scrambled out of the booth, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor as she followed me. "David, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. And me. This is completely inappropriate behavior." I kept walking. Derek was just being nice. He's been such a good friend to both of us. And you're acting like a jealous teenager. I stopped at the door and turned to face her. Behind her, Derek was still sitting in the booth, watching with an expression I couldn't quite read. Amusement? Satisfaction? Both? "Friend," I said, "is that what we're calling it?" "Yes, friend. That's exactly what we're calling it, because that's what he is. My God, David, not everyone is trying to sleep with your wife." Then why does it feel like he's already sleeping with my family? She flinched like I'd slapped her. Good. I walked out, carrying Olivia to the car and buckling her into her booster seat. She was quiet now, sensing that something was wrong, even if she couldn't understand what. Her lower lip trembled slightly. Daddy, are you and Mommy fighting? I forced a smile, the kind that hurts your face because it's so fake. No, sweetheart, everything's fine. We're just going to have our own little birthday party at home. Okay? Just you and me. But what about my cake? And my presents? We'll get them, I promise. I kissed her forehead and closed the door. Vanessa's car pulled into the driveway 20 minutes after we got home. She slammed the front door hard enough to rattle the windows, found me in the kitchen making Olivia's sandwich, and launched into a tirade about my insecurity and controlling behavior and how I'd ruined Olivia's birthday. I waited until she ran out of steam, then said, calmly, we need to talk after Liv goes to bed. She stared at me, clearly thrown by my lack of reaction. Fine, we'll talk, but you're going to apologize to Derek. I didn't respond. That night, after Olivia was asleep, we sat in the living room like strangers at a bus stop. I'd spent the hours in between thinking, planning, remembering, all the little things I'd dismissed over the past year. Derek staying late at the office with Vanessa for projects. Derek texting her on weekends about work emergencies. Derek showing up at Olivia's school play with flowers for both his favorite girls. Vanessa laughing off, telling me I was being paranoid, that Derek was just a friend, that his marriage was solid, and he was practically family. His marriage. I talked to Derek's wife today. I said, Vanessa went still. What? Allison. We exchanged numbers a few months ago at the company picnic. Remember? She seemed nice. We talked about gardening. Why would you call her? I didn't. She called me. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to the message Allison had sent me that afternoon, the one I'd read in the car while Olivia sang along to Disney songs in the back seat. She wanted to know if I'd seen anything unusual between you and Derek, because she'd been finding things. Texts, late nights, a hotel receipt he claimed was from a conference that didn't exist. Vanessa's face drained of color. That's not. She found more today. Screenshots, messages between you and Derek where you talk about what life would be like if we were both out of the picture, where you fantasize about being together, where you call me a roadblock and called her a ball and chain. That's out of context. Don't. My voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare sit there and lie to me anymore. I have seen the messages. I have read the words you wrote with your own fingers. You told another man that you wished I would just disappear, so you could be happy. Vanessa started crying, the ugly kind with snot and hiccups. It was just talk. It didn't mean anything. We never actually... Did you sleep with him? She hesitated. 1 second. 2. Then, no. I swear, we never. It was emotional, not physical. I was lonely, David. You're always working, always tired, always too busy for me. Derek paid attention. He made me feel seen. So this is my fault. I laughed, and it sounded hollow even to me. Of course, this is my fault. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. You've been saying it for months. Every time I questioned your relationship with him, you made me feel crazy. You called me insecure, controlling, paranoid. You gaslit me into doubting my own instincts while you were busy building a whole other life with someone else. She reached for me, but I pulled back. David, please. I'll end it. I'll never speak to him again. We can go to counseling. Fix this. For Olivia. For Olivia. I nodded slowly. You're right. This is about Olivia now. It is. She needs both of us. She needs her family. Then you should have thought about that before you let another man become Uncle Derek to our daughter, before you included him in her birthday and excluded me, before you taught her that daddy is optional, replaceable, someone you can just leave out of important moments. Vanessa's tears stopped. Her expression shifted to something harder. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm done. I'm filing for divorce. And I'm going to fight for full custody of our daughter. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You can't do that. I'm her mother. You're the woman who introduced another man into our child's life as a father figure without my knowledge or consent. You're the woman who lied to me for months, who made me out to be the villain for questioning your relationship, who prioritized your emotional affair over our marriage and our family. You think a judge is going to look at that and say, yes, this is a stable, trustworthy parent? I'll fight you. I'll tell them you're abusive, controlling, that you isolated me from friends. Go ahead. I have screenshots. I have timestamps. I have Allison's testimony and the messages she forwarded me. I have proof that you were planning a future without me while pretending everything was fine. You want to go to court? Fine. Let's go to court. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing in earnest now. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity, not guilt. Just a vast, cold emptiness where my love for her used to live. I left her there and went to check on Olivia. She was sprawled across her bed like a starfish, one arm wrapped around the giant unicorn Derek had given her. I carefully removed it and set it on the floor, then tucked her blankets around her shoulders. She stirred slightly, murmured Daddy, and settled back into sleep. I'm here, baby. I whispered, I'm not going anywhere. The next 6 months were a war. Vanessa hired a high-powered lawyer who specialized in making fathers look like deadbeats. They painted me as a workaholic who neglected his family, a controlling husband who isolated his wife from friends, an angry man with rage issues who'd stormed into a restaurant and traumatized his daughter on her birthday. I countered with evidence. Dozens of screenshots from the synced iPad Vanessa had forgotten about. Messages where she called Derek her rock and her person. Messages where she complained about me, belittled me, fantasized about leaving. Messages where Derek sent heart emojis, and she sent them back. Messages where they discussed Olivia calling him Uncle Derek and how cute it was. Allison testified via deposition, confirming that her marriage had imploded for the same reasons. She described finding Derek's messages, the ones where he and Vanessa discussed someday when they could be together without us. She described her own heartbreak, her own rage, her own decision to fight for primary custody of their kids. Vanessa's lawyer tried to discredit her, call her a bitter, spurned wife with an axe to grind. But the screenshots didn't lie. The timestamps didn't lie. The pattern of behavior was unmistakable. My lawyer, an old friend from law school named Marcus who'd taken my case for a fraction of his usual fee, presented our argument methodically. Vanessa had systematically undermined my role as a father. She'd made parenting decisions without me, excluded me from milestone events, and introduced a romantic interest into our daughter's life as a father figure, without my knowledge or consent. This wasn't just infidelity. It was parental alienation in its earliest stages. The custody evaluator interviewed both of us separately, then together. She observed Vanessa's tendency to minimize, deflect, and blame. She noted my consistency, my focus on Olivia's well-being, my willingness to co-parent despite the betrayal. She recommended primary custody with me and supervised visitation for Vanessa until she completed individual counseling. Vanessa appealed. The process dragged on. Olivia spent weekends with her mother, came home quiet and withdrawn, started having nightmares about monsters taking Daddy away. I documented everything. Every regression, every tearful phone call where she begged to come home early, every time Vanessa forgot to send her with her favorite stuffed animal or her allergy medication. Derek, meanwhile, had disappeared completely. His wife had filed for divorce and gotten a restraining order after he showed up at her apartment at 2 a.m., drunk and crying. Vanessa claimed she hadn't spoken to him since the day at the restaurant, but I had proof otherwise. A text exchange from 3 months after, where she asked if he was okay and he responded with a single word. No. She deleted it, but not before the cloud backup caught it. The final custody hearing was held on a gray October morning, the kind of day where the sky looks like it's made of wet concrete. I sat in the courtroom with Marcus beside me, watching Vanessa cross the aisle with her expensive lawyer and her carefully constructed expression of wounded motherhood. The judge, a severe woman in her 60s with reading glasses perched on her nose, reviewed the evidence one final time. She asked Vanessa about the text messages, the secret birthday lunch, the months of deception. Vanessa cried. She apologized. She took responsibility, partial responsibility, while also explaining that she'd been lonely, neglected, desperate for adult connection. She swore she'd learned her lesson, that she'd do anything to keep her daughter, that Olivia needed her mother. The judge listened, nodded. Then she delivered her ruling. Primary custody to me. Vanessa would have visitation every other weekend and one evening per week, with a condition that no romantic partners be introduced to Olivia for a minimum of 1 year, and that any future relationships be disclosed to me before meeting our daughter. Vanessa was ordered to complete a parenting class and 6 months of individual therapy, with proof of completion required before visitation could expand. I won. Vanessa collapsed in tears. Her lawyer patted her shoulder mechanically, already calculating the appeal that would probably never come. I sat very still, absorbing the reality of what had just happened. I had my daughter. She was safe. She was mine. Marcus leaned over and squeezed my arm. Congratulations, David. You earned this. That night, Olivia and I had our own belated birthday celebration. Just the two of us, in our new apartment. A 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood with good schools and a playground across the street. I made her favorite mac and cheese from a box. She insisted it was better than restaurant mac and cheese. And we ate it while watching Disney movies on the couch. She showed me how she could sing along to every song now, her voice slightly off-key, but absolutely fearless. Daddy, she said during a commercial break, why don't you live with Mommy anymore? I'd been dreading this question for months. I'd practiced answers with my therapist, rehearsed in the mirror, try to find words that were honest without being damaging. Sometimes grown-ups realize they can't live together anymore. I said carefully, it doesn't mean they don't love their kids. It just means they're better being parents when they're not also trying to be husband and wife. She considered this. Do you still love Mommy? Another hard question. I'll always love her because she gave me you. But the kind of love we had changed. It became something different. Do you love me? More than anything in the entire universe. More than all the stars and all the planets and all the ice cream in the world. She giggled, satisfied with this answer. That's a lot of ice cream. It really is. She snuggled closer, and I wrapped my arm around her, and we watched the rest of the movie in comfortable silence. When she fell asleep halfway through, I carried her to her room, the one we'd painted together, with purple walls and glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, and tucked her in. She stirred slightly as I pulled up her covers. Daddy? Yeah, baby? Is Uncle Derek really gone? I paused, my hand on her blanket. Why do you ask that? Mommy said he was moving away. She said I wouldn't see him anymore. I didn't really like him anyway. He always tried too hard. I almost laughed, out of the mouths of babes. He's gone, Sweetheart, you don't have to worry about him. Good. She yawned, already half asleep. Can we get a dog? We'll talk about it. That means yes. I kissed her forehead. That means we'll talk about it. Sleep tight. Love you, Daddy. Love you too, baby. Always. 2 years later, I sat in the audience at Olivia's second-grade talent show, watching her absolutely butcher a Taylor Swift song with more enthusiasm than skill. She'd insisted on wearing a sequin dress that caught the stage lights and threw sparkles across the first 3 rows. Her voice cracked on the high notes. She forgot half the lyrics. And she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Beside me, my girlfriend Jenna squeezed my hand and whispered, "She's amazing. She really is." Jenna and I had been together for about a year now, taking it slow, making sure Olivia was comfortable every step of the way. Jenna was a teacher at Olivia's school. Not her teacher, but a different grade, and they bonded over shared love of unicorns and bubble tea before Jenna and I even went on our first date. She understood kids, understood the complexities of blended families, understood that Olivia would always come first. Vanessa had met her once, briefly, at a drop-off. She'd been polite if cool, the way exes often are when confronted with evidence that you've moved on successfully. Her life had stabilized somewhat. She'd finished therapy, kept a job, maintained her visitation consistently. She still tried to push boundaries occasionally, showing up late or suggesting extra weekends, but overall, she'd become the Cooper I'd hoped she could be. Derek was a distant memory. He'd moved to the West Coast after his divorce finalized, sent Vanessa a few drunk texts that she'd shown me, a peace offering maybe, or proof that she was choosing transparency now, and eventually faded into the obscurity he deserved. After the talent show, Olivia ran to us with her arms spread wide, sequins flashing. "Daddy, did you see me? Did you see the part where I forgot the words and just sang La 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 instead?" "I saw. It was perfect. I know." She beamed, then noticed Jenna. "Jenna, did you see? Were you clapping?" "The loudest." Jenna assured her. "I think my hands are still sore." Olivia giggled and grabbed both our hands, pulling us toward the exit. "Can we get ice cream? To celebrate? Daddy always gets ice cream after my shows." "Does he now?" Jenna raised an eyebrow at me. "It's tradition." "Then ice cream it is." We walked out into the spring evening, Olivia swinging between us like a pendulum, chattering about the talent show and her friends, and the girl who did a magic trick that went wrong and made a rapid escape across the stage. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, and for a moment, everything felt exactly right. Later that night, after Jenna had gone home and Olivia was in bed, I sat on my balcony with a cup of coffee and thought about how far we'd come. The anger that had once consumed me was gone now, replaced by something quieter. Not forgiveness exactly. I wasn't sure I'd ever fully forgiven Nessa for what she'd done. But acceptance. This was my life now. A good life. A life built on the wreckage of the old one. Stronger for having been tested. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Thanks for sending the talent show video. She looked so happy." I typed back, "She is happy." A pause, and "I know, because of you." I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Some conversations didn't require closure. I finished my coffee, went inside, and checked on Olivia one last time. She was sprawled across her bed in that starfish position she'd never outgrown, one arm wrapped around a stuffed unicorn that had replaced the one Derek gave her years ago. I'd thrown that original unicorn away the day after the custody hearing. She'd never even asked about it. "Love you, baby." I whispered. She stirred, smiled in her sleep, and rolled over. I closed the door softly and went to bed, in my own room, in my own home, with my daughter safe down the hall, and the future stretching out before us like an open road. It hadn't been the journey I'd planned. It hadn't been easy. But we'd made it. We'd made it together.